On today's podcast, I had repeat guest Heather Blankenship on. If you missed our first episode, Heather is a beast when it comes to RV parks and glamping. All the reels and things you've seen me make on that are from things I've learned from her. Her company literally does millions a year in revenues from all of her different sites. In fact, she owns $30 million worth of real estate that she's accumulated all on her own. So it's really impressive to see. But one of the things Heather and I are really talking about in this podcast is a brand new community that we just started called Wealthy Woman. And Wealthy Woman is meant to solve a lot of problems that we both see in the marketplace from both types of women. One of the sides being single women who are trying to run their own business and they don't really have anyone that they can relate to. And the other side being spouses of entrepreneurs that, you know, don't have anyone that they can talk to. And so we go in depth on why we created this and how it started and how you can get involved if, you know, you're a woman entrepreneur or if, you know, you're a dude right now listening and you have a spouse who, you know, maybe needs support from other women. I think this is going to be a great thing. So with all that being said, let's jump into the podcast.
Welcome to the Ryan Pineda Show, where our mission is to invest,
I only expect to make money in things that I understand.
innovate,
It's about believing in the future and thinking that the future will be better than the past.
and inspire.
I am much more likely to hit my goal just due to putting it out there.
You now rocking with the best.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ryan Pineda Show. It's very rare that we have repeat guests, but we only do it when guests are that good. Today we have none other than Heather Blankenship. What's up?
Hey, Ryan.
Thanks for coming out again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so for those who missed the first episode, I got to say that was one of my favorite ones because you exposed something that was so foreign to me about just this glamping thing and how much money was to be made from it. And, you know, when I look at my TikToks and my Reels, like there's so many people that are talking about it. They always do good. So I'm like, you know what? We got to have her on again to talk about this, but also to talk about a new partnership that you and I have just started that I'm also really excited about.
Yeah, the glamping stuff is so interesting. And you just did a new reel and TikTok a couple days ago that blew up. And people have been sending me all kinds of DMs and questions about it. It's such a unique industry where everybody was stuck at home during COVID. They came out of COVID wanting these unique experiences. So the glamping industry went from $3 billion to almost $6 billion in that short amount of time from people looking for these unique stays.
That's crazy. So it doubled and it was already a big industry. And now it's becoming more and more apparent. It's funny because, you know, I don't even know what reels I post. Like the team just, I really don't. Like the team cuts them up and we post so many a day that I just don't even know. And so that you're telling me it blew up. I'm like, oh, well, that's good.
That was like 2 days ago.
Yeah. And, but I do know when one blows up because I'll have people text me and stuff out of the blue or like I'll get a lot of DMs. I'll be like, hey, like, what should I do? Like, what are the best markets to glamp in?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. Like,
Well, somebody asked me this morning, they're like, could you do glamping in Vegas? I'm like, not really. It's kind of the opposite. People are here for like glamour and fun and
strip. They want
yeah,
luxury.
nights out.
Yeah.
That's not like staying in a tent and getting away from everything.
Yeah. Glamping to me seems like it works far better in the woods and those types of things.
Yeah, some of the ones that are the most successful are, I went to one recently in the Smokies, and it was people coming out of New York with their Tesla and their bougie Louis Vuitton luggage. There wasn't Wi-Fi there, and they're looking to have that getaway that's still a really nice, glamorous stay, but they can disconnect and recharge for a couple days, which is kind of the opposite of Vegas.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, people in Vegas aren't looking to recharge. They're looking to deplete their money, their energy, their health. Like they're looking to just leave it all on the line.
It's the opposite of glamping.
Yep. So tell us a little bit for those who don't know, like your glamping career and just your real estate investing career in general. Like what does it look like right now?
Yeah, so I bought my first property over a decade ago, which was an RV park. And since then, I've bought RV parks, glamping resorts, Section 8 multifamily, and some mobile home parks, and most recently, a boutique motel. So kind of diversified a little bit.
And so, like, how much real estate is that?
It's about $30 million.
$30 million of real estate. You've accumulated all on your own.
Yes.
That's absolutely crazy. And, like, what kind of revenues and things are all of these things bringing in right now?
You know, it's interesting. When I first bought a property that was an RV park, and that original RV park brings in about $2.5 million a year, but it's more of an active income. Same with the glamping resorts. They're heavy on operations because they're essentially running a resort because people want something day and night, kind of like an Airbnb. It's a heavier operations than something like a multifamily. So I decided that I wanted to buy something that was a little more passive, which is where the mobile home parks and the multifamily came in. So those are about $100,000 a month in passive income.
Wow.
But then I have the motels, RV parks, and glamping resorts.
That's crazy. So 100,000 a month, just pure passive, like from these things.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's my retirement.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could retire now.
That's true. I could.
With the glamping, though, you're talking about $2.5 million of, just these people paying to be in tents and like hang out and stuff. Tell people about like what it is they're paying for. Why are people paying so much to go camp?
It's interesting because people want to post on social media that they went camping and went away for the weekend, but no one actually wants to set up a tent and bring out their air mattress or sleep on the ground for the weekend. So they stay in these glamorous luxury tents that look kind of like a safari tent. And they've got bathrooms, they've got air conditioning, they've got heat.
Yeah.
And some of them go as far as having their own concierge to bring them, whether it's different locally sourced foods or they're specializing in wine or whatever the area does itself. But they're paying for that unique experience. And it's not just glamping tents. You've got yurts, you've got remodeled train cars. There's, people actually rent remodeled Airstreams. Those do really well. So it's a wide variety of kind of tree houses and all these different unique stays.
Yeah. I've seen some of those on Airbnb where, they're like offering the little Airstream. I'm like, people buy that? But they make a killing.
It's crazy that you say that because just a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago now, Airbnb had this huge announcement where they've totally revamped their site for the first time ever, and it spotlights those unique stays. So it's changed the game for Airbnb, and everything looks totally different now, and those unique stays are really being highlighted.
So is that what they're calling them, unique stays?
Yeah, or alternative accommodations, yeah.
Okay, so glamping would fall under that. So now you can go list your tent on Airbnb.
Exactly.
Is that where you get the majority of your bookings?
Actually, the majority of my bookings are direct bookings because I have so many different things in one specific area. I use the Google AdWords and the social media and all those different things for marketing. I do have a portion of the business that comes through things like Airbnb or different types of glamping sites like Host Camp and some different things. Or not Host Camp. I can't even think of the name of it now. But
it's all good.
There's a whole bunch of them.
So if somebody wants to go just see what your glamping sites look like, where would they go? What's the website?
PigeonForgeJellystone.com.
That is a mouthful. Pigeon Forge Jellystone. Like, what is that?
That's my main property that has glamping tents in the Smoky Mountains, which is one of the largest tourist destinations.
Okay. I'm not even going to try and spell it for you guys. Just, it's in the description.
Check out my social media.
Yeah. It's in the description. So, you obviously been very successful with glamping and with just everything. I mean, you got hotels, you've got passive income stuff. I mean, you've built up this huge portfolio. You've built up a great social media presence. You're making content everywhere, and it's just inspiring to watch. And you're doing this, as a woman. And this is something that in the real estate space has kind of blown my mind. I didn't realize how male dominated real estate was until I started seeing other industries, right? Because I would go to masterminds, and 90% were dudes. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, I mean, that's just, I guess, what happens in business. But when I started getting into other industries, I started noticing that that wasn't the case. Like in the e-com space and the crypto space, well, crypto's a little male dominated, but like e-com, education, content creation, realtors, it's not like that. Like there's a lot of women in the space, but when it comes to real estate investing, there's very few. And I think I've had almost all the big ones on my show, just because it's I'm like, man, I want to get more, but I can't find them.
It's kind of how you and I connected. We connected before this, but it's how we came up with this new venture we have.
Yeah.
I was at the last Future Flipper event, and we're looking around, and there's maybe 10, 15 women in the room, and 5 of them came with me.
Yeah.
Out of the couple hundred people that you had there.
Yeah. And look, I want the women to come to the events. I would love for them to learn real estate investing and do all those things. But, even when I look at my analytics for my social media, it's so male dominated. I mean, my Instagram's 80% dudes. My, YouTube, I think, is higher than that. TikTok's a little more diversified. It's probably 66%. But at the end of the day, I'm just man, there's just not a ton of women in this space. But the women who are in this space, they're killing it. There are a bunch killing it, but there are a ton who just kind of don't really have someone to look up to.
It's true. And I get the messages daily on social media because it's women talking about their single moms or their women who are supporting an entrepreneur. And it's great for them to be able to see a woman's perspective or the ability to juggle and balance all of the responsibilities mixed in with being an entrepreneur and a mom or a wife and how you make all of that work. They need to see that person like them.
Yeah. And I've noticed even with Mindy, my wife, she gets a ton of messages from like basically the wives of the husbands who follow me, right? And she just hears all of these messages of like, people like these women basically wanting support of like, hey, what do I do? What's it like when Ryan does this? Like how should I let him take the risk? Like I'm super scared. There's a whole bunch that goes into it. And then
well, for the for the things that we think of as exciting opportunities, oh my gosh, I can't wait to do this. They think of, oh my gosh, that's a huge risk. How's this going to work out? Mm-hmm. It's a different perspective for them. And it's even more than that. My last women's retreat, there was a lady there who's similar to Mindy. She's got a couple little kids at home, and she's supporting a massive real estate entrepreneur. And she really wanted to ask him, as her kids are getting a little bit older, how she could get more involved in the business. And she was scared to ask him because she didn't know exactly what to say and how to talk to him about it and him take her seriously. So it's this weird mix between one side of the women who are the entrepreneurs and the women who are supporting those entrepreneurs. They all seem to collide in some areas.
Yeah, and I'll say too, like from the male perspective, like I meet a ton of entrepreneurs and real estate investors whose marriages aren't that great, mainly because they're just not really communicating properly with like the expectations and like the things that, we have to do as entrepreneurs on a daily basis. And so it just made me realize that like if there was something for, maybe these stay-at-home moms or, even if maybe they got their own job, but they still don't really understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur, like if they could get that kind of clarity around other women, I think it would improve a lot of marriages and just, happiness overall. If you're listening to this podcast, then my guess is you're interested in real estate investing. Some of you are just starting out, while others are trying to scale their business to the next level. But the problem is, with so much information out there, most people don't know which program or coach to trust. Well, I'm a bit biased, but I believe my company, Future Flipper, can help you get to the next level. We've coached thousands of students from all over the world on how to build their real estate investing business. It doesn't matter whether you want to flip, wholesale, or buy rentals. Our coaching program has everything you need to become a great investor. There are many things that we include with coaching, but to give you a few examples, you're going to get an accountability coach. These are people that have had success in their own business, and they want to make sure that you achieve success in yours. We also have all of our documents, our systems, and processes that I've used to buy hundreds of homes. You can copy and paste them directly into your own business. And we have events where you get to meet me, top-level guest speakers, and other students who are crushing it. My students do deals with each other, and I personally do deals with them too. In fact, at a recent event, I just honored over 20 people in our program that made over $1 million in the last year. So if you want to grow your real estate business, head over to futureflipper.com and apply for a call with our team. The call is completely free, and they can help point you in the right direction whether you work with us or not. So go to futureflipper.com and book your call today. For the last year, the real estate market has been on absolute fire. Prices are at all-time highs, interest rates are at all-time lows, and there is more money in the economy than ever. But with so much competition, many investors are sitting on cash, struggling to find great deals. If this sounds like you, then you need to invest with Pineda Capital. With my network and social media following, we get access to the best real estate deals all over the country. And if you're an accredited investor, you can invest with me on those deals. In fact, last year we purchased a 334-unit apartment complex in Georgia for almost $20 million. We expect it to be worth well over $30 million when it's all said and done. Our goal with each deal is to build in so much equity from the beginning that we're able to refinance our investors' cash out and own the properties together with little to no money into the deal. And the best part is, you don't have to do anything. Our team will find the deals, handle the renovations, get them leased, and eventually refinanced or sold. All you have to do is provide the capital. So if you want exclusive access to our deals before they hit the public, go to pinedacapital.com to schedule a call. We can put your money to work today to start getting you great returns. So go to pinedacapital.com now to get access to our deals.
It's interesting that you say that. I just left a mastermind group, and there were only, out of a couple hundred people, there were only 2 women there, me and this other lady who was someone's wife. And she was talking about the exact same thing. And she said after sitting through 3 hours of economists talking about the economy and 2 hours of accounting, she's like, I would rather sit at home with kids any day.
Right.
But it gave her this different perspective on what her husband's doing when she just thinks of it as he's left her at home to take care of the kids while he goes and hangs out with his buddies.
Yeah. Yeah. And, even today, right? Like, I don't want to act like my marriage is just perfect and we don't ever have any kind of problems, right? Like, I go out of town a lot for different events and things. And my wife knows, like, I only pick the events I'm really, like, passionate about. Like, I miss a ton of events. Like that event you just said, I didn't go. Like, and I'm a member there. I paid 30-something thousand a year to be a part of it.
Yeah.
and I just don't go because I'm just like, I don't need to go. I'm going to send my team. They're going to take care of it. And I'll still stay home, whatever, right? But even with that, I still go to a lot of events because I get asked to go to so many. And, at these events, look, I have fun when I go to events. And so, whether I go and, whatever, network at the end and go have some drinks, or whether I go golf, or whether I, get to just hang out with my buddies and whatever, like events, a lot of it is just not me sitting there listening.
But those are where the business deals are made.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
when you make the connections for what you need to do next in your business, or that one missing link of some person you needed introduced to.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so, a lot of wives, and Mindy understands that. She knows I'm doing it for a reason. And so, maybe early on it might have been more of an issue, but now it's just like, when you go out, that's part of it. You got to network, you got to build relationships. You're not going to do that just sitting in a room listening all day. So, that's definitely part of it. But I know that there's a lot of wives who don't get that. And they're just like, man, like, what is he doing? Like, is he just leaving me to go party?
Ignoring my phone calls.
Yeah. And I can tell you, for me, it's tough too as an entrepreneur. Like, I don't like leaving my kids and my wife and like, having to FaceTime, and like, that's the only way I can see them. Like, it sucks, but these are kind of the things you got to do as an entrepreneur to be successful.
And we get a lot more hours at home than some other people do because we go do those kinds of things. Even listening to you and the type of schedule that you have, you aren't at work in the office the same amount of hours as some other business people.
Mm-hmm.
So when it all kind of equals out.
Yeah, no, and I'm very much, I guess I get more family time than most entrepreneurs, right? So, and that's kind of why I created The Wealthy Way, to help people understand that. But that's kind of evolved into what we've created. So, you had attended the Feature Flipper event, and you came to Brian and I after, and you're like, look, I want to be involved in some way or another. I think we can add a ton of value. Like, there's so many women that would love to be a part of this somehow. What can we do? And we just started brainstorming a little bit. And, sure enough, the more we both talked about it, the more we were like, I don't think it should just be like, we want to teach women how to invest in real estate. Like, that's kind of like a very narrow lane where we would have less impact. Like, we should really just try to help women entrepreneurs of all, levels, whether you're the entrepreneur as a woman or whether you're, supporting your spouse who's the entrepreneur, right? And sure enough, the more we talked about it, the more like our visions both aligned, and, getting Mindy on board, and, just seeing that there's this obvious problem that nobody's really addressing. To me, as a business person, I'm like, I guess we got to do it, like that. This is literally how all my businesses start, where, an opportunity's there, a problem's there, the right person to run it, comes along, and it's just like, well, you might as well do this.
It's interesting. You talked about the disconnect with the women supporting entrepreneurs. And as a woman that is an entrepreneur myself, the first time I realized that it was such a need was I used to be a broker, and I had my first $1 million commission, which is a huge accomplishment as a realtor or a broker,
right,
getting this huge commission. And there wasn't anybody in my life that I could share that with, because the people around me, they might make that in 10 or 20 years.
Right.
So I almost felt guilty even telling somebody that could happen, and it went uncelebrated. You need to be surrounded by those other women who can truly support your accomplishments and your victories, and brainstorm with and talk to things about. And as you grow in your business, you start to have less and less in common with the people that you're surrounded by.
Right.
And you don't have that network of people to bounce ideas off of, and you start to feel a little bit alone and lost in the things that you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that goes for anybody. It's not just women. Like, I struggle with that now too. Like, a lot of people that I knew in high school or knew, from playing baseball and stuff. Like, we're still friends, don't get me wrong, but it's like we just have so much less in common than, I do today.
You're having different conversations. You have different goals.
Yeah.
And it makes it a little bit tougher to connect.
Yeah. So, just like understanding that and seeing, basically what we've been able to do with Future Flipper and like allowing this community for, to celebrate these big wins, and it to be normal, right? Talk about making 7 figures in a year. I've never made a $1 million commission check, by the way, so I can't have that conversation with you. But, we have done a lot of great things. And so, like I just saw the power that Future Flipper has had with a community. And you saw it too, you were like, this community is so great.
It is. They're cult-like in their excitement for each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, it's not cult-like for me. Like they're all about the community as a whole.
They are. And they truly are excited about what they're doing and for each other. And they're so willing to give information. Nobody's feeling like, oh, you might get some of mine if I share this with you.
Yeah, 100%. And so, when you brought it up to me, everything started to click. And I'm like, okay, I can see how this can work. Like there's obviously this gap. Here's the problem. We can create the solution. We already know how to create community and all this stuff. And so, we ended up after, just months of building this thing out, we're launching a new program, a new company called Wealthy Woman.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it. You want to tell people like kind of what we're doing?
Yeah, so we have a new mastermind for Wealthy Woman, and it kind of serves the two different ladies that we've been talking about today. You got the woman who's an entrepreneur, and you got the woman who's supporting entrepreneurs. And we've broken everybody up in tribes so that they're able to get more focused attention on exactly what it is that they are excited about or what kind of struggles they're having. We just had our first in-person retreat, which was a couple weeks ago, and the woman talking about with humility, talking about what they need to take it to the next level, whether it's with their families or with their business, and how emotional I didn't expect everybody to cry.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How emotional everybody got and how they were able to leave with these accountability groups to support each other going forward was priceless.
Yeah. Yeah. So before, launching the mastermind, Heather did a retreat. How many women were on that retreat?
25.
Yeah. And so I saw some of the testimonials and just like the footage and everything. And it's amazing. Like you said, like for you to really find a group that thinks like you, who supports you, wants to see you grow. And I've said this many times too, like whenever I go to get a mentor or coaching, just seeing it firsthand gives me belief that I can do it. When I just see something on YouTube or something, like I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, Heather did it, or like Ryan did it, but it just doesn't feel real until you actually get to meet somebody, face to face, and like really like, oh wow, you can do it. You're pretty much just like me. There's not too much, like maybe you're just a little ahead and you know exactly what to do.
Finding those growth-minded women who are truly interested in turning their visions into reality is few and far between. So connecting with other women who are actually taking action and making things happen is awesome.
Yeah. And I think what's going to be great is the different perspectives of people that are going to be in the group. So it's like, for Mindy, she's totally happy being, my biggest cheerleader and just really supporting me in everything that I do and, holding it down at the house, right? Like we've got 2 kids, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old. Whenever I have to take care of the kids on the weekends, I'm just like, I don't know how she does this every day. Like it's so much work. But she allows me to be me. She allows me to take risk. And it's because of her support I've been as successful as I am, right? And so, for entrepreneurs listening, right, if your wife is not supporting you the way that you would hope, it might not be that she's just doesn't support you or believe in it. I don't think she understands like what you're going through yet. And that's kind of what we want Wealthy Women to basically fix for that side of the equation.
Well, it's no different than as entrepreneurs, we need masterminds and groups to figure all this stuff out. The
Right.
wives, why wouldn't they need or want the same thing?
Right.
As the world starts to go more digital, you need to be aware of which businesses are going to thrive in the future. One of the obvious ones is e-commerce. In fact, last year, e-commerce sales did over $4 trillion globally, and it's continuing to grow. Now, if you're like most people, you probably don't have time to learn a whole new industry and start a new business. But there is another way. You could partner with us at Lunar Ecom. We have over 300 e-commerce stores that we have created and managed for our clients. And the best part is, it's completely passive on their end. The business model is very simple. You cover the cost of creating and running the store. We handle everything else. We pick the products, we handle fulfillment, returns, and customer satisfaction. After all that, we split profits at the end of the month. This means that when you win, we win. If you want to learn more about how it works, you can watch our case study at lunarecom.com. I believe that the e-commerce space is going to continue to explode as the world goes digital. So make sure you're with the right partner who's going to be ahead of those trends. So go schedule a call with my team today at lunarecom.com if you want to learn about how we can start taking your passive income to the moon. Most people want to get rich at all costs. They make sacrifices with their family, their health, and their faith, all in the pursuit of money without even realizing it. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be that way? What if you could grow your wealth in all areas of life? Well, it's possible, and that's why I created The Wealthy Way. It's a community of people striving to grow together in all areas. And we have multiple tools for you to use that are completely free. You can get access to the Wealthy Way Planner, where you can set goals and hold yourself accountable on a daily basis. We also have our Wealth Builder Academy, which is over 4 hours of content teaching you how to manage your time, create the right goals, and all the biggest secrets I've used to grow my life, not only in my net worth, but in all aspects. Lastly, we have our Discord community where thousands of wealth builders are all over the world encouraging one another and growing together. And once again, all of this is completely free. There are no upsells, there are no hidden catches. For me, this is a passion project, and I want to build a community of like-minded people. So if you want to start living the wealthy way today, go to wealthyway.com. There you can get all the free resources like the course, planner, and Discord community. So go to wealthyway.com.
100%. And so having Mindy in there, and this is the only business, by the way, that Mindy wants to be involved in. Like I said, she doesn't care about, how many houses I flip or, how many students we have at Future Flipper, all the tax returns we do at TrueBooks. That's not important to her. She knows that it'll be fine, just doing what we do. But, when I told her about Wealthy Woman, she's like, well, obviously I want to be involved with that because I want to speak to those wives who, haven't maybe had to go through what I've gone through and how I can help them. And, she needs support too.
And she does. And that's part of the reason after being at the Future Flipper event, I wanted to talk to you about it. Was I had seen Mindy a few weeks before that post on her social media talking about, as a mom, being at home, kind of struggling with your identity and what it is you actually want at the moment. And I thought, you know what? That's the exact same struggle that me as a single mom and an entrepreneur, you keep having these mild identity crises of where you're at in life and what you're going through. And I'm like, Ryan's wife's struggling with the same thing. It's the kind of things we need to connect on.
100%. So I think, having a lot of women, strong women in that demographic is going to be great. But then you have the other side of the coin, which you're in, right? You're the entrepreneur. I don't want to tell your story, but you've told it quite a bit about just having to build this all while your husband leaving you, with kids.
And the interesting part is I had that role at one point. Before I got divorced, I had left my career and was supporting him because he had a job that traveled full time. And I tried sewing, I tried knitting, I ran marathons, and I was like, I had become Blankenship's wife instead of Heather, and I didn't like that. I wanted my own identity. And that's one of the things that I'm really excited about with Wealthy Woman is when we're out in society, I can literally feel the judgment of other women that I don't stay home with my kids all the time. And then the women that stay home with their kids, they get this judgment from the women who choose to work. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that it is okay. It's okay to be either of those people. Mm-hmm. Whatever works for your family and whatever makes you happy and God has called you to do, that's where you should be. Right. And there shouldn't be any judgment on either side of that.
Right, 100%. And I think you having been through so much, once again, I watched Mindy raise 2 kids with the help of me, and now we have a nanny too. And I'm just like, this is still really hard. And then to see you've done it with 3 kids and, still building a $30 million portfolio and, just going through a divorce, it's crazy the amount of strength it takes. But, I don't know that you had anyone who you could really lean into.
You're exactly right. As much as I would love to have a husband, I've been divorced almost 5 years. I was forced to become both the man and the woman to support these children.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I think we solve a lot of those issues, and it's something I'm really excited about. For those who are actually listening right now, we're launching it off. We're going to have a special promo for the launch, but if you want to take advantage, all you got to do is go to wealthywoman.io. So that's wealthywoman.io, and you can kind of see what's included. You can, watch, the case study. You can watch everything else, talk to our team and see if it's a good fit. But I would say for somebody who's listening to this as a woman, like obviously you can make the decision for yourself and, decide you want to join. We would love to have you in the group. And by the way, too, in this group, you're not going to hear me like preaching to women. Like, okay, that's not my job. That's Heather and Mindy's job. I'm just here in the background with the strategy and trying to figure out how to make this the best community ever and how to grow it and make sure all of the women are getting value and taken care of. But if they want to hear from me, maybe I'll come talk. I don't know. Maybe, actually, this is actually something good, but we should also do something for the spouses at some point too.
We should. I think having a retreat that combines everybody would be awesome.
Yeah, well, definitely that, but also too, like maybe doing a group one where, it's like me and Mindy are talking to everybody about, something else. And so I think that could integrate everyone together. But I would say if you're a guy watching this and you have a spouse, a wife who you think would be a great fit for Wealthy Woman, as a husband, I'll tell you, be very careful with how you pitch it, okay? You have to be very strategic.
Maybe just give them the website.
Yeah, like when I want my wife to, if I have to tell my wife something that it may not be perceived, like don't be like, hey, you need Wealthy Woman because you don't get it. Like that's not the way to do it. And be very strategic and be like, hey, I think you should watch this podcast that Ryan just did. I think it's something that would really help her. Like, let me just pitch. That's it. Then it takes it out of your hands and you don't have to, whatever. It doesn't have to be misconstrued.
Agreed. 100%.
Yeah. And, it's funny because we were talking about, since most of my audience is dudes, right? Like, it's like I can't even sell directly to women really and like be like, you should join because they're just not really watching as much. But I think for all you dudes, okay, if you're married, I can probably guarantee your wife would benefit from this. And if you got siblings or, a sister or a cousin or a coworker that you think could benefit from this, tell them too. Because I think, really our mission's to help people. It's part of kind of like the Wealthy Way ethos of like, we want to just really help people and, help them live a more balanced life, not just in making more money in business. Like, obviously it's going to be a very business-minded group of women.
But the whole idea of it's balance so that you're able to be successful, not only in business, but with your family, with your health, with your faith, with all areas of your life.
Right. Exactly. And so, that's the whole purpose of the Wealthy Way. And so it's like, for me, this was an obvious thing I wanted to be a part of because it was like, man, this is great. Like it's perfectly designed for women who want to achieve those things. And, I think it's going to help a lot of men too, because if your wife's happier, I can tell you it makes business and everything else a lot easier for you. Trust me, having Mindy support me the way she does and understand what I have to go through, makes things so much easier on my end. Like people always ask me like, Ryan, what was it like when, you and Mindy maxed out your credit cards? What was that conversation like? What was it like when, you're buying all these houses during the pandemic and the recession? Does Mindy freak out with this stuff? And I'm like, honestly, not really anymore because we've gone through so many different like things. And so she now knows how to deal with it. But it's like, we don't really get to share that with other people on how we do it.
Well, and I think women having other women to talk about those things is easier than their husbands saying it because their husbands are usually saying it's going to be okay, but they don't actually know it's going to be okay because they haven't gone through it before. So talking to the other women like Mindy who've already been through that when their husbands are building a business or they're making some changes in their business is a lot more comforting than just their husband saying, it's going to work out. We'll be fine.
Yeah. What do you think about, maybe the single women who are running businesses or working, jobs who are just trying to look for community? Like what's kind of the biggest need with them?
It's exactly what we were talking about earlier. You don't have other people in your life that you can relate to. You've kind of outgrown, probably isn't the right word, but you're not having those same conversations. You don't have the same goals. And even you say, well, there's a whole bunch of men for that. The masterminds that I go to that have literally only men there, as much as I can go and have these great business connections with them, I don't get invited to dinner. I don't get invited to drinks. I don't get invited to go golfing because it's not appropriate for me to be there.
Right.
As a single woman, the married guys don't get to take me with them.
No.
So I don't really fit in those categories. So they need those retreats we were just talking about to have that girls' weekend that they can connect with because they can't do it with the guys. It's not appropriate.
Right. No, 100%. So, guys, women, if you're interested, like I said, we're going to be doing a cool promo for the launch of Wealthy Woman. I'm super excited about it. I never thought I'd be starting a women's mastermind, but at the end of the day, right? Like I just do what I feel God's calling me to do and help with, and I know Mindy feels the same as well. And it's going to be super exciting to see the growth of this, and I'm just super thankful to have such a great partner in this endeavor in Heather, because I know she's going to lead it to the max. I mean, look at all our other businesses. They all crush. There's no reason this isn't going to do the same. So if you are interested, go to wealthywoman.io, talk to our team, take advantage. Like, we'd love to have you in there. And we're going to start this thing off with a bang. It's going to be good.
We got 2 days to launch.
Yeah. Well, by the time this releases, we're going to have launched. But for those who watch this live, after release, we'll still honor the promo with for those who watch the podcast. But we're excited. But Heather, I'm excited to have you here again. We're getting ready for the Future Flipper Mastermind, where we're going to tell everyone about it, and it's going to be great. And I appreciate you coming out to Vegas.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe. Go to wealthywoman.io, and we'll catch you later. Peace.
Thanks for watching The Ryan Pineda Show. If you want to work with me, head over to ryanpineda.com. You can find my courses, coaching programs, and upcoming events. We also have free resources you can download, so head over to ryanpineda.com.